Hello everyone, it is great to be with you. I took a look into my dad's Bible and it came up to John 6, and actually it's verse 35, and it says, "And Jesus said to them, I'm the bread of life. He that comes to me shall never hunger, and he that believes on me shall never thirst." Amen. I just want to be filled with God's words, God's power, God's strength, never to be hungry again, never to be thirsty again, that I would just have contentment, that I would have His healing. I've just been praying today that God would help me. I've been taking deep breaths and saying, God, please walk me through this season. Help me to do it with your grace. I had the honor of speaking with someone today that I think will soon speak out. Someone very close to the situation with Art Lucier. Many of you know that this has hit me a bit by surprise. It is not where I expected to be or what I expected to be talking about. I've been running with this man, Art Lucier, for quite a few years, as in going to his conferences, whether I was on stage or not on stage. I've, relatively been supportive of what he was doing. Definitely knew that he kind of had a big personality. Definitely knew that he was rough around the edges. Had seen that people could get hurt because of his words. But always wanting to believe that, that's just art, and we're going to, just proceed, and God's working on him like He's working on all of us, kind of thing. And then I moved to Kelowna, British Columbia, and there was an oversight committee that was looking into all of these allegations. Apparently they put in 1,000 hours, and they have some sort of report that they're going to be releasing. I don't know if that will be public. I somehow doubt it, but I'd love to see the conclusions that they've come to in all of this. And so what happened was that I began to hear these rumblings of accusations, people being upset, they were wounded, and that people were saying that something very awful has happened. There's been a lot of spiritual abuse. I began investigating, and the short story is that person after person after person had stories that sometimes they couldn't get through without a lot of crying, pain, and that was just the guys, never mind the women. That was mostly the women. The hard part was that these hurtful allegations all kind of had a similar thread through them, and that was that Art was saying things that were really difficult. He would put people down. Heather and Art Lucier have been known to tell many people that if you walk outside of, God's will, if you don't come under their covering, like you might face death or cancer, things like this. So, I mean, this is not anything that I've known for Art to say to me, so it was a little bit disconcerting. And then the stories began to come forward, and even as I've been presenting, I would have more people contacting me, and we heard Howard Olson's, his letter the other day. And then I've had some pastors contacting me basically saying that, these victims should have, they're even talking about the ones who are talking about sexual abuse, but they're saying that these victims should have come for, the committee and to be pummeled with questions and, to try to find reasons to defend Art is what it seems like it has been. But I will say that Hal on the committee has stated more than once that he was not here to defend Art. And so I have another difficult broadcast today because the story that we're going to hear is from a young man named Joe. And Joe's story, when I read it in the survivors page, it was sent to me by Salem, was heartbreaking. And I just didn't understand how anyone would ever treat this young man that way. So I've received a couple of emails that I want to share with you. And I think you might be able to see this one, JT, up on the screen. There's a person, and they want to remain anonymous. They don't want their name used. And they got a word from the Lord August 6th, 2024. Now, in this letter, they go into some detail to explain how they had come to be, at Harvest and had an experience and all of that. But this download came August 6th, 2024. I submit it to you, not to just say it's a correct word, but as a word, a prophetic word to be tested and tried. And it was a hard word when I read it. And I got to speak to someone today that is just grappling with what the truth is on Art. And the truth is that Art Lucier has an opportunity to either fall into repentance and into the grace of God, or he will defend himself, lie, and the Lord is watching all of it. It's better to fall into the hands of a merciful God than the hands of the people who will not show as much mercy. The word August 6, 2024 from this person, this is what they was delivered in the middle of the night so strongly that they had to get up, write it down. The Lord God is crumbling the platforms of those that have stolen the ideas and voices of others in order to make it their own. He is tearing down the ministries that have been usurped from the people he intended those ministries to go to. Art Lucier, the Lord is talking to you. You are one of many. What dirty, dastardly deeds you have done in secret will be secret no longer. The abuse of my people, the abuse of my name, the abuse of my word to fit your narrative. I am smashing it all to pieces, and the world is about to see your downfall. Your pride is what got you here. You had plenty of opportunities to humble yourself before me, and you refused. For what you are doing to receive your reward, which is no reward at all, but justice. You are about to reap what you have sown, and all those with you that have propped you up to be someone that you're not. They are all coming down with you. Shame will be over your head for the iniquities you have participated in and most often led. You have used your platform not to exhort and encourage my people. You have bastardized my word by twisting it and injecting hatred so vile in order to chastise some of my children. You have created many waters to be filthy and many hearts to be damaged by your words that were never of me. You had misrepresented me to my sheep and anyone that did not come under your control and commands. You condemned out of a spirit of control and anger. Your reign is over, and you will now pay the price I have warned you about. Pride comes before a great fall, and your fall has arrived. Art. It is time for the fear of the Lord God to grip every pastor, leader, those that feel that they are called by God to do great things, that the fear of the Lord would seize you. You see, You can act in your own might and in your own will, but God is watching and he sees it. He is not a fool. He does not miss a beat. Everything that you have ever done that was evil, wrong, deceptive, deceitful, and even the good things, it is before his eyes. So when you declare yourself all kinds of things and you hurt and wound people, God sees it. And he's given you a lot of time to repent. And I'll tell you something. This is not easy on me. I am not having good days right now. The stress, the overwhelming sense that God has called me and asked me to do something, to stand. I'm hoping to hand this over to the people that need to deal with it fairly shortly. But the stories that the survivors have told have been out there for months. And they're important people. They're beautiful people. And some of them no longer truly honor God because they've been so wounded and hurt that they don't even like Christians. And that will be our guest today. I pray you embrace him. I pray that through this opportunity to speak and to share of what took place, that he will receive healing and also that he will perhaps find the ability to one day have faith again in the God who has never been unkind to him. Only human hands, human words. Beautiful woman named Pat Wood lost her adult son, and his name was James Wood, and he had special needs, and he was dropped off by, I believe, a social worker or somebody who should have not done this. He was dropped off somewhere in the middle of the night, and that was the last time that his mom saw him or knew of him being alive. And something terrible happened to James Wood, and because of his disabilities and whatnot, it was a tragic thing. He was not found for, I think, more than a month, and his body had been disintegrated, and wolves or something had gotten to him, and it was just devastating for this mother, as any of you who might be a mom could understand, that you suddenly can't find your son and he's killed. So this mom, she created something so that if this were to ever happen to someone else with special needs, it was in honor of James Wood. We are advocating for an alert system, and that alert system was going to be the James Wood alert system for vulnerable adults. And one of the people that had interacted with her son, and she had gone to Art and said, could you help me with my son? And he had said, oh yeah, we'll send so-and-so over, but nobody ever did visit with this boy, and a young man, really. And so he had died, and she was grieving, but she wanted to do this so that no one else would lose their son, that there would be a system put in place that would advocate for an alert system, sort of like the Amber Alert, but for vulnerable adults. And so she sent this February 28th, 2022 to Art Lucier. And this was his response. Hi, Pat, sorry, but I'm not interested, as I didn't know your son at all, nor do I have spare time at all. I wish I did. I've seen the invite already. Thanks, though. So it wasn't an invite. It was just to sign a petition to get something through. I live the life of two people already. Petitions aren't worth the time or the paper they may be written on at all. It's true. It's a nice thought, but they add up to nothing. So she said, You did have opportunity to meet them, and you said that you would come, so that's why she had thought that this is the mom's writing in the purple. And then he says, so you're offended. You'll have to get over it to move on. The petition is for the vulnerable. I was just asking for a signature to support our vulnerable so that we don't have more James out there neglected by the system. Art Lucier. I, period, have, period, no, period, time, period. I'm busy with many, many things. Wow, the mum says. Petitions aren't worth the time or the paper they may be written on. It's true. I guess that was the end of the conversation. The stories that I'm going to be sharing in the next few days are very difficult, and it's more of the same. More people ignored by Art and Heather Lucier. Shocking treatment. Not going to be able to get through all of the things that I sort of had planned because I want to get to the interview with the young man. But I am happy to hear that the podcasters in the U.S. are picking up on this story. I mean, they started noticing it when I talked about it, but then they were so shocked. And so this is Pastor Ray Curry from the Unction in the United States. And he is such a righteous and godly man. He comes from much abuse in his background. And this is what he had to say about Art Lucier.
If you're in a ministry right now where you're being intimidated and you better not talk against us and you better not say nothing about us and touch not my anointed, no, we have not. That ain't the spirit we operating in this dispensation. No. We have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear. We have received the spirit of adoption whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit of God bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. He has not appointed us to wrath. Wrath is for an enemy. Now, chastisement is for a child. The Lord can get us in line, but wrath is for an enemy. He has not appointed us to wrath. Oh, no. So my thing is, stop letting these preachers put you in fear and intimidation. And the other thing y'all going to hear me say over and over again, I'm going to say it all the time because a lot of people still quoting it wrong. This whole touch not mine anointed thing, they lied to you for years. That ain't just about the leader. God said in Psalms 105 that he brought his people Israel out of Egypt. And as they sojourned through the land, God rebuked kings that they would not hurt God's people. And he rebuked the kings by saying, touch not mine anointed, that's the people, and do the prophet no harm. That's the leader. But these false prophets who were over us, because I was under one too. I was under one that was teaching wrong too. These leaders made us believe that scripture was just about the leader. It was just about the prophet. No, the anointed individuals were the people that God has smeared his spirit upon them. He told the kings of the lands that they sojourned to, do not touch mine anointed people, and you better not harm the leader in front of them, that prophet. You need to know that so that you'll stop being afraid and realize that the same God who will stand up when a leader is done wrong is the same God who will stand up if a congregation is done wrong. And that's what y'all are seeing now. God is now standing up for his anointed people, and God is raising up voices now to stand up for and abuse people, that you will not touch his anointed congregations.
I absolutely loved his dissemination of this word on, in the Psalms. The anointed people were the people of God. The people of God were the anointed people. And these leaders have used this like, we will do anything we want. Do not touch God's anointed. And they're all covering for each other. Every one of these leaders that has been associated has been not reaching out not wanting to bring discipline or trying to understand what's really going on here, but rather covering. And there's more. They're covering for each other on other things as well. And I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there, and a lot of people have watched you. A lot of people know how to send an email. And now, numerous things are being reported. May God help the leaders to be courageous, repentant, to do the right thing with what we're seeing right now. This is Ohio for Freedom, Everett Gagnon. He's awesome. Take a look.
This guy is going to talk about the death of his daughter. The death of a daughter that tragically in her early years, he wasn't around for at all. Not judging that. I mean, life, he can't, but I just want to let you know that he's talking about his own flesh and blood. And let me just let
in
this
a prayer. How many people have fallen asleep or have died or who are sick because they've not correctly discerned the body of Christ, as it says in Corinthians chapter 11. Paul says, some of you are sick and have fallen asleep because you've not correctly discerned the body of Christ. If you receive a prophet, in the name of a prophet, you receive a prophet's reward. What happens if you reject the prophets?
He's going to go on. He's trying to make the case that discerning the body of the Lord is discerning that he's a prophet, that he's an apostle, or he's some big something. That's exactly what he's trying to do. But if you fail to do that, you might get sick and die.
Has God changed his mind from the Old Testament to the New? We see that Israel rejected the prophecies of Jeremiah and Ezekiel and went into 70 years of exile as a sign of bad days that come. Did you know that God killed Ezekiel's wife? You read it. God killed Ezekiel's wife, dead, and he wasn't even allowed to cry. This is the same God that we serve yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I believe as time goes on, the great, powerful Yahweh is going to start to descend. And you're not going to have your religious, dishonoring ways anymore. I believe that God's calling us on the carpet.
You're not going to be able to have your religious, dishonoring ways. What does he mean by dishonoring ways? By failing to fall down and worship this guy as some great prophet or something. Okay, you don't have to fall down and worship, but your attitude and your actions have to be of reverence for this guy as some apostle and some prophet. Anytime anybody talks that way, run from a false prophet.
I hope that you'll watch my good friends, Ohio for Freedom on YouTube, and The Unction with Pastor Ray Curry. It is my deep sadness to report to everyone, as I've been saying on the other shows, that allegations have come forward that are very damning to Art Lucier. I have spoken to 2 women myself, and I find them to be credible. Their pain has been huge. And there also are more allegations that others will be coming forward. And the folks that you would think in the church would be handling this are slow on the draw. And they're wanting to refer to some of us as being the accusers of the brethren. No. I, for one, as a child of the church, will not any longer defend bad behavior those that have wounded the precious lambs and have caused people to turn away from God with their arrogant, prideful statements. God is watching. He has a big plan, actually. The big plan is that once this house, his house, God's house, is cleaned, that is when we will see the great outpouring of his Spirit back on our land and into his house. Whether that's in a church home, he has seen the criminal activities surrounding money that so many churches have been involved in. He has seen the assaults, and he has seen the cover-up, and those that will not have the courage to call it out. Just going on their merry way like nothing's wrong. Ostriches with their heads in the sand, refusing to protect the sheep. And even as there's exposure, the first concern is that we find a way to restore, rather than that we find a way to love the wounded and the victims, the sheep that need to be cared for. And so there's something else that I wanted to read. There have been so many exposures in the last few months, and Ron Cantor has been one of those brave souls. And he wrote, "It is very sad to see Dr. Brown," this is Dr. Michael Brown, "continue to ignore the people he has hurt and view everything through the lens of how it affects him. The book that the publisher pulled, he is now sending to his supporters. Instead of expressing any godly sorrow for his actions and unwillingness to deal with this before NT elders, he views this present issue as simply a trial to make him stronger. He is going through the most challenging season of his life. In his words, so is the lamb he took advantage of. But there is no mention of her or the damage he inflicted." Ezekiel 34. As for the timing of the book's publication, planned many months in advance, as is the custom of publishers, it is interesting that news of Living in the Line of Fire's release occurs in the midst of the most challenging season of my life. This is divine timing, for as you'll read, some of the most intense trials of my life in the past were God's method of preparation for greater service and outpouring. And Dr. Michael Brown, again, typical of what is happening, not a word, not a mention of the harm that he has caused. It was, ironically, a young woman and a married woman. No coming clean about all of that, but rather pushing ahead, pushing forward. And so often this is the case. And it's grievous to me, personally, because I think people matter. I think people matter a lot to God. And God always likened it unto sheep. And he said the good shepherd would leave the 99 that are okay and would go after the one. The one. And instead, in the past, we have seen that many ones have been harmed. And I absolutely love my guest tonight. I love his story. I love that he is brave enough to tell it, and he's got a strong spirit. I do not like that what he has to share tonight is very difficult, and it should never be ignored by any of the leaders who know Art Lucier. There should be a way to reconcile. There should be words that offer sorrow, repentance, brokenness on behalf of those who have been hurt. Nonetheless, you're really going to like this guy. His name is Joe. And Joe, I just welcome you to the show. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's nice to see you face to face. I guess you've
Fine.
probably seen me more than I've ever seen you, but I
Yeah,
appreciate you so much.
thank you.
Yeah. You got a deep voice there, I hear, sort of like a radio voice. It's cool.
It's funny, I've been told that multiple times that I should be on radio.
Yeah, you know, sometimes people say stuff, and one day you just make that happen. I'm so glad you're here. You know that I've been covering some stories because they needed to be told, and it wasn't fair that these stories were not truly examined. There's an oversight committee. Joe, have you been able to share your story with the oversight committee that's representing Art Lucier?
Yes, yeah, I sent it to them. They've seen it on the stories page, but I didn't get much of the reaction that I thought I would get. They had some curiosities and stuff like that, but didn't communicate too much with them after that.
So you are you saying? Did you say you were able to talk to one person, or they asked you a few
Yeah,
questions?
I'm honestly not sure who it was that I spoke to. I actually felt kind of like there were multiple people corresponding in the same email thread. Could be wrong, but that's what it felt like.
Right, Joe. I have this amazing picture here, and it looks like this might be back in Kitimat days. Can you tell me a little bit about this shot? I'm not certain. Are you in this picture somewhere?
I am, yes. I'm up sort of the top left hand with the cut off sleeves.
Okay,
Back
right at the top left there. Are you holding the sword?
No, I'm a little
No,
bit further down. Got some
a little
long
bit
hair and
further
a hat
down. Oh, yeah, yeah, right here. Basically
right
right
beside my.
here, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, okay. And we
So
can
this
see a
was
whole,
a
yep,
picture with some of our church members and the DiNardo family.
okay. All right. And we do see that Art Lucier is here in the bottom.
Yeah.
And any other significant people to the story at all, or just basically this is an old picture of some things,
As
some
far
great
as the
folks.
DiNardos go, they're just amazing people, good people. I love them all.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And then I got another shot here, and this looks pretty cool. So who's in this picture?
To your far left, that's Denver, Denver Webb. Looks like Hiram Webb. Art up front. Uh, I think maybe beside me is Brittany, Crystal, and Dustin. And this is on our way out to, I believe, Ottawa.
Okay. What year do you think this is roughly?
Oh man, my my years are a little bit jumbled. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, hard to remember. Yeah.
I was maybe 17 in this picture, 16, 17.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Very young. So tell me a bit about the amazing thing, how you came to be and to know Art Lucier and came to be a part of Kitimat.
I have I was I was adopted by my grandmother at 3 months old, and I'd sort of been in and out of foster care for a good portion of my childhood, my brother and I both. And at some point, we ended up back with our grandmother, but I started getting into a lot of trouble. My brother as well. I was getting in trouble with the police. I was getting in trouble all over town. Um, Breaking into houses, all this stuff, and I was on a very bad path. I was very unguided, very immature. Um, uh, we were offered an opportunity. They said they weren't going to force us to go into foster care, but we were offered the opportunity to go to Kitimat, BC, to try to start a new life. And long story short, I ended up in Kitimat, I believe maybe 2002. And it wasn't long after that that I met a youth uh, that introduced me to the idea of going to one of Art Lucier's basement church meetings. They used to call the cell groups.
And is this you somewhere in the picture here?
Let's
Or,
see. I'm not actually
or are
even
these
sure.
other folks? I want to kind of, would you say this is a picture of you in your youth?
Yeah. That never a straight face. Never a straight face.
Right. Making some trouble. All right.
Mhm.
And as well, so you came to Kitimat. Are you in this picture at all?
Yeah, far right. There in the blue and white shirt
In
and
the
long
blue and
hair at the
white
time.
shirt. Yeah. All right. You know, and one of the things that that I loved about your story was like you felt pretty like you'd found sort of a community and a family. You embraced kind of where you were, and you really looked up to Art Lucier. Tell me about that season.
That moving to Kitimat was a good move, but meeting Art and that church, it really did offer me something that I don't think I had ever really had, which was community. Uh, I had no previous exposure to Christianity prior to meeting Art Lucier. Um, I completely flipped my life, 180 degrees. I was still damaged. I was still obviously, and I know that now as an adult, that I was very damaged. But I had structure. I had a father figure in my life now, and somebody that I looked up to. And you can kind of see it in this picture. You don't see my tattoo, but I've got a similar tattoo to him. I got because of him. I grew my hair out. I was going to the gym. So I was a little mini Art. That's kind of embarrassing to say it that way, but I mean that's what you kind of do as a young man. You
Right, but
follow your
it was sort of a sign of how much you liked him. Like people would call you Mini Art, and you had a similar tattoo, like you say, your hair. You looked up to this man. Like finally, you're sort of in this place where, you know, someone was like a good male role model. It was a
yes.
positive thing.
It was, and he was rough around the edges, and I think the reason I really liked him ultimately is because I grew up around people who were rough, very rough. So it wasn't really much of a change for me. It was one form of chaos for another, but this, at least with the Harvest Church, I had a belief in something now, something that I could hold dear and keep me straight on the path.
And so what happened? You started going to church. Like did you feel like you did sort of meet you know and get a relationship with God at that time?
Oh, yeah, 100%. My my first night at the cell group, actually, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, uh, somebody had mentioned that if you wanted to give your heart to the Lord, now was the time. And I remember I was sitting up against the wall, and I remember putting my head up and leaning my hand against the wall, and I gave my heart to God that day. Uh, it wasn't long after that that I was baptized, and I remember these events quite fondly. Um, you know, many of the bad things that are said, even from myself, there are a lot of good that came out of being in that church. Just the family, friends, brothers, sisters, who I'm all reconnecting with now, which has been one of the silver linings. But yes, gave my heart to God. My relationship really started then.
And so, in going to these, you know, youth groups and hanging out with Art and seeing this, it really it did have a it had a real benefit, gave you a stability, and you felt at that time that God was real. And you know, you've told me that that this was very real to you. You were ready to do whatever the Lord asked you to, and it. I mean, it was a really great season. So
I honestly said to myself many times that there was nothing that could ever divert me from the path of Christianity. I was very solid in my faith back then.
yeah. So you had an occasion to sort of, you know, do some things and stuff. Tell me the progression of the relationship from that point.
Between Art and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he seemed to have an inclination toward bringing broken youth into his fold under his wing, and I've heard many of the other youth refer to him as like their spiritual father. Some of them straight up just called him dad, and I was taken by him. He was, I don't know, he was like the first real uh, uh, father figure that ever took any real interest in me. So I started hanging out with him all the time. I went to every single meeting and service that there was that they possibly. I soaked it all up. I was in my Bible every day. Um, my relationship with Art sort of just developed over time. I, I had a lot of really good laughs with him, a lot of really good times. Things that I'll always look back at and still laugh at some of it.
And, some ministry opportunities came up during this time. You went on some trips and different things like that.
Yeah, I went. One notable one actually is I went to a Todd Bentley concert, and we went out doing street ministry, and we met up with another group of people, and they had one guy that was walking around with a 6 foot wooden cross, and I somehow commandeered the cross and started making my way up the street to go and see if I could find some people to minister to. And I was very fearless when it came to this stuff too. I didn't care who it was. I'd talk to you and try to pray for you. And I was very on fire. I didn't care who it was. I ended up in front of a bar. I can't remember what it was called. It was like City Limits or something like that. And I walked up to a group of people who were just getting out of the vehicle, and I standing there with my cross. This woman pokes her head out the side of the vehicle and she goes, "Oh, you see my beard?" And I lowered the cross down and I sort of slammed it on the ground and I said, "No, but I know Jesus Christ." And she immediately went into some type of weird satanic manifestation, and she's pointing at her tattoos that she's a daughter of Satan. And so it turned out I had actually encountered a couple Satanists and their boyfriend,
Wow.
and they chased me off. They took the cross off my shoulder, beat me with it until it was broken, and that was sort of one really crazy night. But that's one of many. I have a lot of crazy stories like that. We were all over the place.
Did you feel like literal demonic encounters? I mean, and you were seeing sort of the power of God manifest. I mean, if you were serving God and you were on fire for Him, the demons wouldn't think much of you at all.
No, guess not. They were very, very aggressive. There was no calming them down.
Yeah. And so, was this kind of like an evangelism thing that was
Oh yeah.
happening? Like Art would encourage this sort of evangelism that was going on?
Yes,
Yeah.
we were very much encouraged to do so. It didn't matter what city we were in. We would. I became very bold, very, very bold. My heart became for the lost and the broken. Christ had a mandate, and it's to feed my sheep. Feed my sheep. That's all he really asked for, and that's kind of what my aim was. Is I want to be there for the lost ones, for the broken ones, for the hurting. I still have that in me to this day. It's not gone away. I just a lot busier now.
A lot busier and a lot's happened, but I just want to affirm that in you, Joe, like your gentle, giant maybe spirit that you have is definitely still there. Like in speaking with you, your kindness, your actual grasp, the empathy that you bear, and your care for others, even the care that you have now for the reuniting maybe of some of the survivors that are now kind of
Yeah,
getting together. Your care for people, you had a deep heart, you had a soul, and
yeah,
because of that you could be hurt. You were vulnerable in that way, but nonetheless, sort of in a good place. You told me about heading off to see Todd Bentley. There was something that you noticed during that.
yes. So I had no previous experience to Christianity of any form. I was invited to go down to Abbotsford to see Todd Bentley, Fresh Fire Ministries, and I didn't know what to expect. I'd never really been to a concert like that before. But what happened was we went in and we did the worship, and that was all really good, and it was really nice to connect with God in that through worship. But I saw Todd Bentley come onto the stage, and he came across to me as fake, as this typical preacher with the cadence of the at the end of everything that he says. And I remember I turned to Matt, uh, and I turned over to him and I just said, "I this guy makes me feel really uncomfortable. Like he makes me I don't like this. I don't want to be here." I'm pretty sure I mentioned it to Art too. Fairly certain that I did. But eventually, I sort of just fell into it as well. I even ended up going to their Bible school with Henry Schmidt and his wife. Um, Beautiful people, still love them to this day. Uh, but yeah, Todd Bentley freaked me out, man. That guy's, the more I think about it as an adult, the word fake comes into it for me. Not real, not genuine. There for the money, there for the fame.
What do you think it was that sort of made you then at that point like go to Bible school? And was this encouraged by anyone, or like what made you kind of like put aside all of your maybe
Conviction.
instinct, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it might have been just exposure over time. You get sucked into the hype, and that's something that that Christian movement is really well known for, is just the hype, um, revival and spirit moving and all this stuff. And I really did. I got sucked into it big time to the point where I wanted to become one of Todd Bentley's underlings, to travel with them and help them out and try to enter ministry that way. So my hope was that I would go to the Fresh Fire Ministry School and I would become a evangelist. I wanted to start my ministry somewhere. I really, really badly wanted to. I wanted to save souls and all this stuff. But yeah, it was yeah. I'm glad that I didn't get pulled into that.
Yeah, actually, me too. It is like something that you've said is like this charismatic thing that's happened over like the last few years. It's actually been, it's fraught with a lot of emotionalism and a lot of big personalities and all of that. And actually, I mean, it's sort of just tumbling down and being shown to have a lot of something that's not good behind it.
Ego,
Yeah,
pure and utter ego.
ego.
It's
Yeah.
that's all it is. It's all ego.
In Before we sort of get to some things, did were you ever able to feel something that did feel real, like there was a God and he cared about you?
Oh yes, 100%. So I've lost my faith and I've never been to church, not since the whole art incident, but I believe, I wouldn't even say believe, I would say that I know God intimately. I understand what God is, I understand what the Creator is. My my journey has been a strange one since leaving the church. Very, very took the scenic route, to say the least. But yeah, I
Kind of went
believe
this
in love
way
God.
and that way. Yeah,
Yeah, I've gone through seasons of hating God and all this stuff, but ultimately I know my Creator.
yeah. And hating him, maybe would that be related to some things that happened and you felt were
In my
unfair?
own personal walk, that actually had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with the church.
Yeah,
This was my own
pain.
experiences that led me to that. Yeah, it was. Don't know that I'll get into it here, but crazy road.
crazy road, and it's an interesting thing. You know, if there is a God, and as you would say, the Creator, and in your journey, and if there isn't a devil, if there is an enemy, then I guess it fits to say that he may want to deceive you into being angry at the one who actually loved you and was actually mortified and you know, didn't want those terrible things to happen to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite a journey that we end up on. Yeah, and I just honor you in that journey, and I pray that you find your way to truth, because it is kind of is about the truth, right, Joe? Like like a lot of people, like some people are Sikh or some people are Muslim, and they serve a different version of God or Jehovah or Allah. And at the end of the day, I always say to God, may I find the truth, because at the end, it's the only thing that really matters. And I
Yes.
really love your story, and that you kind of came to church and you found, you know, you found this group, and you did love it. You sensed that it filled something for you. So the Todd Bentley thing, was that still while you were like in with art, or
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah. That was a few years in. We went for a lot of different conferences. I call them concerts because that's sort of the way that it feels to me. But yeah, tons of them. It seemed as though too art had a completely different trajectory, in my opinion. I believe that other people will can confirm the same thing. It seemed like before the whole Fresh Fire Ministries and getting involved with all those guys, Art had a different trajectory. He still had his things, but um, after seeing Todd, and I'm not even I can't even blame the guy because I became starstruck at some point too. But you could really hear it in Art the way that he talked, that he wanted to be with the big boys. He wanted to run with the big guys, and that was his aim. That was his goal. Uh, but when he was really youth centered. Uh, Again, made his mistakes. Not going to Can't deny that, but it seemed like his heart was a little bit more um, in it for the right reasons rather than for ego reasons, egoic.
And so you kind of yourself visually saw some changes that you noticed, even that you put in your survivor write up, that there was a change, and it was palpable, I guess.
Yeah, and everybody in the church sort of followed in line with it too. It was all about the vision. It was all about the prophecy. It was all about as some people have described as divination and all this stuff. Um, yeah, I think a dream was lost. I think the church fell apart ultimately because of that.
So tell me sort of the progression then. You were there. You saw some things as well. Share you know what you'd like to share, sort of about how time and this experience progressed.
Mm, can you elaborate just so I know a little bit more of the path that I need to
Yeah,
take?
like one of the things was well, I mean, you actually are friends with one of the victims that has a very strong allegation, and
Mhm.
there was things. Did you notice things about, because there are allegations now that are pretty strong against Art about misconduct? Did you ever see anything that caused you to have some concern?
Yes. I won't share any more than I already shared publicly online. Uh, but I was confronted by the oversight committee because of that, the post that I made, and they thought it was disgusting that I had used words like SA or the R word. Not sure how much I can say on here without getting you.
Yeah, the R word's good. Yeah.
Good. Um, I was very frank about what I saw, and I was confronted. They said that it was gross, it was disgusting, but I don't think they didn't have the full picture. I watched a cover up happen, and I know for a fact I'm a witness of it. I saw it. I saw the cover up. I saw the excommunication. Um, as soon as I heard about the survivor page, um, my main reason for going into this is one for those victims and for Salem as well, um, and just to try to be an advocate for those who went through a lot of suffering. You know, there are some people there with some real trauma, some real hurt, some things that really, really, really bad happened. Um, for that, I will be as public as I need to be with my story. I'll have my name out on every newsletter, headline. Anybody who wants to talk to me, fly at her. I'll talk to you, as long as it means helping them.
Yeah. And that's that heart that you have that I appreciate so much. There, as time went on, you're in the church. Was there any other things that were difficult? I know I'd like to get to, where you did eventually get a job, and that was problematic to Art.
I think I'll go into the angel story first, since
Yes,
that one there. It's
please.
been told.
Yes.
It's been told extensively, but my personal firsthand experience of it is very heartbreaking because I loved Angel. My heart for the lost and for the people on the streets. I'd spent many services crying in front of God's altar because I couldn't stand thought of these people, precious, beautiful, uh, messed up for sure, but precious in God's eyes, and that's the way that I saw them. And Angel was she was that to me. Uh, we were out doing street ministry, and something that I like to do to connect with some of the people there on a personal level and really open up conversation was I would carry a pack of cigarettes with me, and I would just hand them out and offer to talk and ask them if I could talk to them about God and talk to them about Jesus. And I ran into Angel, and I don't know why I just had this intense sense that God was saying that he wanted her off the streets. Nobody was with me as far as I remember, but I was. I told her, I said, God wants you off the streets. God wants to help you. God wants to bring you out of this. And I left her that evening, and I was broken. I saw a lot of hurt. Something about street ministry that always dug down into my heart. Really hurt a lot. Spent a lot of time crying, but I went to the church, and I went in and to one of the meetings, and we started worshiping, and I was really getting into it, praying for people and all this stuff. And I went out into the foyer. I don't really remember the layout of this place, but um, I go out and I look over, and there's Jerry Woods and Angel standing there. And Angel's in a black suit. She's cleaned up. She looks nothing like the way that I saw her that evening on the streets. And I ran over and I was like, what the heck? So I ran up, grabbed her, and I lifted her up and hugged her and spun her around. And I was just so excited to see her. And Jerry or somebody informed me that she was going to be coming back to Kitimat with us. And I just absolutely lost it. I was crying, weeping. I went out in front of the altar, and I cried and worshiped, more thankful than I think I'd ever been. To me, I witnessed a miracle that night. I saw something so beautiful happen, and I thought, this is what God wants. I was very convinced. Um, it wasn't until I realized how sorely unprepared the uh, the leadership of our church was. Very unprepared for what they were going to face. Don't know all the ins and outs, but I do know that on the way up there, they had purchased heroin to help her with her withdrawals. Um, I also heard that she overdosed once or twice. Uh, it, I sort of trailed off after she came back to Kitimat, and it sort of just became I didn't see her anymore, didn't talk to her anymore. Eventually, she went off on her own, and I started hearing stories about her in town, looking like she was far along in a pregnancy. That actually turned out that her liver was dying, and um, she ended up passing away due to complications. Just to me, I look back at that and I just like it rips me apart because I thought that was God's will. I thought that's what God wanted, and I was just that crushed me, and I still to this day can't really make sense of it in my mind. She deserved better. She deserved a good life, as do does everyone. Um, doesn't matter who it is. We deserve a good life, especially those who suffer, especially those who suffer the way that they do. Those on the streets, they suffer horrifically. They're there for a reason. Um, but yeah, that brought a lot of confusion, a lot of
Yeah.
confusion for me. Didn't know what to do. Didn't know what to
If
say.
if you could go back, knowing what you know now, what would you maybe have wanted to maybe see happen?
As an adult, man, if I were to encounter the exact same thing now, I would say, yeah, let's do this, but she would need to be under the care 100% in a hospital, go through the detox and all that stuff under the care of medical supervision, which I don't think happened, not to the degree that it should have. I think she might have been on methadone for a period, but um, I would have made sure that she was under the treatment of the right people, not trying to help her go through withdrawals on her own.
Where was the leadership of the group that you were with? Was Art there at the time, or anybody else?
Um, in regards to
Yeah,
what happened to her,
and to just sort of overseeing this situation. Was there any talk, or like did the ministry leader seem to be aware?
they were aware. I think they're made of a lot of it became very hush hush after a while. I was only let in on a few things about. I heard only that she had overdosed, and Art had to do mouth to mouth. Other than that, I mean, it was more shrouded in mystery to me. I don't know. There may be somebody out there who could give more accurate detail. I haven't bugged anybody to get more accurate detail, uh, but that's as far as I know. Unfortunately, I was very young at the time too, so I wouldn't have been brought in on any of this.
Yeah, and have you seen Art ever talk about this story?
Mm, you know what? Too, just really quickly, there was another guy that came with us. His name was Joseph. I don't know whatever happened to him. He was one man that came up with Angel. But as far as Art talking about it, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure he did. Not all that often. The one thing that he did let me in on was that she overdosed. Um, I knew that they were trying to decide about divvying up some of the heroin or drugs that she had, so that just to let so that she could self medicate. Uh, but I don't know whatever came of that, unfortunately.
So very, like, even to this day, this is a very tragic thing and a very difficult story for you.
Yeah,
And hard part of life is these things that if we only knew then what we know now, perhaps different measures, different things would have been done.
wisdom, wisdom. We needed some adults in the room, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe the adults that were in the room weren't heard. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe people were voicing their concerns. It's very possible. but I'm not sure.
Yes. Very hard. Very difficult. And any other memories you want to sort of share about how it kind of went from you being little Art and serving God and wanting just dreams to come true to sort of where it ended up?
Well, I had given myself completely to the church, to the youth, to my beliefs, to my loyalty to art. My loyalty, when I give my loyalty, it is ironclad. And alas, I don't know why I'm like that, but that's just the way that I am. Um, and my loyalty to art was to the point where I wouldn't hear clearly when people told me about all the negative things that people would complain about. People would say that he was too harsh, too mean, too this, too that. And I found myself in a lot of cases talking to a lot of people that he offended, hurt. I would placate a lot of them. I was like the Art Lucier placater. I was the one who putting out fires and calming people down. And it happened a lot. It was quite consistent. And I just went, oh, that's just Art. That's just the way he is. But it's like, you got to soften at some point, especially when you're in a place of leadership and you're dealing with a flock, people that you're supposed to be pastoring. There's rough around the edges, and then there's just the refusal to change. And I think that's kind of the way art has always been. There's the refusal to change, the refusal to soften. Um, yeah, that was.
Was there
I gave a sorry.
oh yeah, like was there a meanness? It seems like you're talking like people would notice a meanness, and certainly it wasn't acknowledged probably on Art's part, and you were making excuses, but you heard people saying these things, the same kind of things that were currently sort of exposing even current situations.
I've heard gnarly stories, both recent and one that I witnessed. That is very notable. One of the mean things that was callous in a way that I just, and when I look at it now, I'm like, dude, the guy's kind of a psychopath. I don't mean to say that so harshly, but that's the way that I feel now. The more of the stories that I hear, the more I feel that that's the case. Um, there was one incident, we were down on the beach fishing, and somebody caught a fish. It was a salmon, and me and another girl. I don't think I'll mention names because I don't know if they'd appreciate that. But um, instead of bonking the fish, doing what you usually do, something humane, he literally grabbed the fish and ripped its head off while it was alive, right in front of some of the girls there, and they were absolutely stunned and appalled. When you look at meanness like that. Um, my own personal experiences with him where there were times where he was abusive physically. Some of them were veiled, some of them were just straight out in the open. Few of the things was one incident where he needlessly, while we were all playing football, he, as anybody knows about Art, is a tanky guy, very tanky. He's built like a rhino. um, I had the football, or maybe I didn't even. And he came barreling down the field at me at full speed and smashed into me and was like getting hit by a truck. But he hit me in such a way where my femur, he struck it in a way where I was literally collapsed on the ground crying, like trying to breathe through the pain. I was convinced that he fractured my femur at that point. Don't even remember who was there. I vaguely remember that there was a group of us, a lot of the guys from the church. Um, but I remember that. I also was big into piercings because of Art. I got my nipples pierced, and those are famously very difficult to heal. It could take up to 3 to 6 months, sometimes a year. Mine kept getting infected and had a really hard time closing them. We were at a men's retreat with a bunch of the boys from the church, Art, a bunch of the other leadership men from the church, and there was a wrestling and stuff that was going on. And if you've ever seen Art's hands, he's got mechanic's hands. He's got these really, really stubby, almost like rocks. um, he wound up knowing exactly what he was doing. He knew that I was hurting and that I was in a lot of pain. He wound up and he whipped me as hard as he could. He flicked his finger, smacked it into my nipple, and I fell to the ground almost puking because of how much pain I was in. He would do stuff like this. Um, there was another incident where he had me drinking toilet water. He tricked me into drinking toilet water. Had one of the girls go into the house. We were doing work outside. Then he was really thirsty, and he sent one of the girls up to grab me a drink of water. Before she went up there, he stopped her and whispered something. I didn't think anything of it, but apparently he told her, go get the water from the toilet, but flush first." He came back out, and I drank toilet water, thinking that it was a good, refreshing glass, and he just laughed his butt off at me. And I was offended, appalled, disgusted. Of course, made excuses, let it go. I can't remember if I stayed or if I walked off or something, but I was pretty upset. And I have stories, I have lots of them like this. Like there's another one. We were all, the entire youth group, in somebody's garage. I can't remember whose garage it was, but we were all standing around, and I don't know how he orchestrated it, but he orchestrated it so that all the girls were behind me and all the guys were in front of me, and I was standing in the middle. He sent one of the girls, and I was very close. She was my sister, very close with this girl, and he told her to pants me in front of everybody, and he said, "Don't just grab his pants. Make sure you get his underwear too." And pants me, uh, full view of everything for my entire youth group. And it's like to this, I'm trying to hold back and not say what I really want to say about him. But it's moments like that where I just go, "Oh man, there's something up with." I look back at it now, I'm like, dude, this guy, there's something wrong with him. Truly, uh, you don't do that to people, especially somebody who you consider your son or you say is your spiritual son.
Is that what he
Um,
would say to you?
he told me, yeah, that I was a spiritual son. Yeah, he said it a lot. Um, we were, I was always asked because of my likeness to him if I was actually his son. If we were blood related. Happened a lot. Um, but yeah, you don't do that. But he did. There's a lot of different examples like that. He not just to me either. Like there was, I don't know how much time we have, but so there was one incident where we were in one cell group, and Art wound up. Well, one of the ladies, again, I'll refrain from using names. Um, she was bending over in front of the couch, and Art wound up and came up behind her and smacked her butt so hard that it left a huge welt handprint on her butt. And it's just different weird stuff like that. There's story after story that I've heard from other people too. Nobody's perfect, but when you're in a place of leadership, there are lines you don't cross. There are things you do not do. There's being friendly, there's having fun, but he crossed a lot of lines. Major one being, I would say the major one that always sticks out in my mind is the cover up of the essay that happened in the church toward this young woman. If you know, you know. Um, but that's all I'll say about it. It was a cover up, 100%. Um, and then to excommunicate her.
I heard something about this air gun fiasco. Were you around during that time, or?
I might have been around. I may have even heard about it, but at that time, I don't think I was there. The story was relayed to me just recently, all the details. Um, Not sure that that's my story to tell, just because I know that the details aren't as fresh in my mind because I wasn't there. There's only something that I was told secondhand.
Yes.
But from what I do know is two of the guys in our church, they were getting ready to shoot each other with these airsoft guns, and they did something where they wanted like 49 hits to each other's backs to represent the suffering of Christ or something like that. Art facilitated this event, even though there was a lot of protest from one of the ladies, uh, Tiona. She protested hardcore. Did not. She made her very sick.
She even
Actually, to
spoke to him directly, I think.
yeah, she confronted him. Yeah, and of course he didn't care. There's that callousness. They're just going to do it anyway. They're boys to a degree, yes, but you are the adult in the room. You should be discouraging this kind of stuff. There's tough and then there's stupid. There's just there needs to be a level of self-love taught, especially to young men. Young men and women, they need to be taught self-love, especially the group that we had, where self-love, I don't think wasn't something we were taught. It's when you're passed around in a system, which a lot of us were, you don't feel so worthy. Uh, it's a it's an unfortunate byproduct. It saves a lot of kids, but that's the unfortunate side effect.
Yes. Yes. So, well, we will see if there's someone who will sort of share that whole thing. But as a parent now, if someone was an adult, but the kids were doing crazy stuff and shooting each other 39 lashes, I think, somehow someone got the idea to have the suffering of Christ or something,
Yeah,
is what I heard. And it
yes,
went bad.
it went bad. Yeah,
I
if
think
I
about,
found out those were
yeah.
my kids being led by Art and allowed and facilitated, I would have called the police. I would have lost my mind. I would have had words, many, many words.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. So you wanted so much to please Art though, and it was like it was a confusing thing, wasn't it? Like he's so mean, he almost broke my femur. He's like hurt me physically, but I want to defend him. You found this guy, so you're all in this kind of angst and all of that, but one of the things was the spiritual. Did you ever hear things like, well, like you could die, you have to touch not God's anointed, and any of that kind of stuff? Do you recall it?
I heard lots of stuff like that. After I left the church, I was actually convinced I had this clock running in my head because of the things that were uh, asserted by Art. Um, that I would be dead in 3 years, and I waited for it. I was terrified that this was going to happen. And I thought, I'd moved out of his covering and all this stuff. Um, but here I am, still here, still
You're
alive.
still here, but did he literally give it a time limit? He said you'll
That
have
was
three
me.
years and you'll be dead.
No, that was me. That was my
Okay,
own mind
that was
playing
your
tricks on
so.
me.
But you had heard if you go, you're kind of in danger of hell's fire and losing your life. Some people have said things like cancer tossed around, but
Yeah,
so you put sort of a stipulation on it, but you had heard that.
I thought I heard that in my soul, in my spirit, that I was going to be dead in 3 years. But yeah, that was a very common trope. That was something that was thrown around a lot. Uh, it's disgusting, truly. I understand being under people's authority, covering. submitting under leadership, all this stuff. I totally get it, but there's I don't know, the controlling nature of it. I have lots of stories. Again, I'm not sure how much time we have.
Even even relationships. I've now talked to several people where Art and Heather would have their opinions on who shouldn't be dating, or sometimes forcing weddings on people that didn't even want one. I mean, weird stuff happened.
Picking dates, the dates when they can get married and all this stuff. He messed up two uh, relationships that I had because of the control. So me and one of the girls, we started, just very innocently, very, I don't know, it was just a cute little 2-day relationship. She was a foster daughter to Art at the time, and Art told her that it wasn't in God's will for us to be dating. And so we split it off. And I know it's only 2 days, but I was so brokenhearted at that time. Really liked her. But then there was the other one where I finally found a girl that I was really attracted to, loved her spirit, loved her heart for God. Again, I'm not going to mention names, but I can tell the story. Anybody who knows knows. We began dating, and I fell in love with her. She fell in love with me. It was one of the most pure, cute. Um, it was adorable. Like I look at it from my 38-year-old mind. I'm like, dang, that's adorable. It's pure. It's good. There were little. We thought, we'd get married, we'd have kids. We had it all planned out. It's something that I wanted for sure. Um, we were set up to be the how do you say, uh, youth leaders, or an example of purity in a relationship, for just because I guess we were looked up upon, or looked up to by the youth. And so her and I were pressured into making oaths, an oath of celibacy. So no kissing, no nothing. It was just a relationship. Which ended up being really hard on
No
both of us.
kissing. No kissing.
Which is
That's
ridiculous.
celibacy oath. That's very stringent. Okay.
It's extremely stringent, and it put a lot of pressure on a relationship, to the point where, like, we couldn't even hold back. We just wanted to be able to have a normal relationship. And I was confronted by Art on multiple occasions. One of them, he confronted me while we were at a construction site because he heard that her and I had been kissing. And he, in the most brutal way, shamed me in front of a bunch of the guys, some of the leadership. Basically just made me feel like a pile of dirt. And I remember I walked out of that job and I didn't work for the rest of the day. I just sat in the truck crying and just really, really upset. I was asked again on another occasion to revoke my oath, that I should revoke it. And it was just like this nonstop. And because we wanted to maintain, we wanted to please him, we wanted to make him happy, we maintained our oath, and to the detriment of our relationship. Ultimately, it's the amount of pressure that it put on us. It just made things very unstable. And if we had been left alone, who knows what the future might have looked like from that point. But I mean, even kissing, that's a pure. We were pure. We were good. There's nothing crazy going on between us.
Was this like for everyone? Was this like the youth rules or what? Like,
He controlled everybody. He really did. When it came to relationships, this is something that he was really well known for. Um, one of the pictures that I sent you was me as a best man at somebody's wedding. He controlled that relationship, or when they get married, he chose the date for them so that it wouldn't intersect with one of the a church meeting or whatever. But then ended up messing up a whole bunch of their guests and other stories. lots and lots of them. But that was, I don't know. I don't really understand it. Don't get it. But there was that desire to control.
It's also not lost on myself or maybe others who now understand sort of serious allegations being made that this is hypocrisy.
Yes.
It's crazy. You
Yes.
know, we don't even need to fill in the blanks here. Just understand, like, here's some guy talking about, celibacy, not even kissing, and he's, you know,
There's a
I just, it's
story that I wish I
appalling,
could
isn't
tell
it?
you. It is appalling. There's one story that I wish I could tell you, but I can't. It's not my story to tell, but I have a feeling it will eventually come out.
Okay.
But it's just when you say hypocrisy, real hypocrite, really, really hypocritical. These are all the things that I made excuses for art. I never wanted to see it. In my eyes, the man could do no wrong, and I think a lot of people are in that mindset too, even today.
Yeah. So sorry, Joe.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, like I read your you know your letter to the survivors page, and I was so gutted. I really was. Like, you're a very nice guy, and you're older and you're tougher now, and I, but these things, when there's a young person and like all of sort of eternity's at stake, and he
Yeah,
had you there, like you were listening, you were trying, you were willing, and and something turned, and he lost you, and the church lost you, and
yeah.
Jesus lost you because of some things, then that happened.
I
And
could go into that story if you want.
yeah,
I don't know if do we have a time limit or are we just gonna
no,
are we
just,
good?
yeah, no, not for you.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Um, so when I came back from Bible school, I had already kind of started drifting. Um, I had I don't know what it was. It was like the last. It was like the loss of my church or the loss of structure from my foster family. Something about it and having that freedom and being out on my own for the first time had an effect on me psychologically that I wasn't prepared for. But I moved from Kitimat to Abbotsford, which was a huge, huge jump for me. Major, major culture shock. Uh, when I came back, I had never owned or rented or anything my own home before. And I got this place, the Whitesale Townhouses. It was just this really run down, beat up place. It was only like $400 a month, which is absurdly low rent when I think about it now. um, I was not making money. I didn't know how to make money. I didn't really know what I was doing. And I got offered a job from a guy named James. He's a roofer up in Kitimat. And he said that he would give me what I needed to pay my rent if I were to work the weekend. He said he had a roof that needed to go up on Saturday, Sunday, and I skipped church for the very first time. I'd never done this before, not for any reason, maybe for other reasons, I don't know, but this was the time I really skipped out on it. And I guess my presence was really noted that I wasn't there, and it pissed Art off. Um, he he went through the church, through my youth, through the youth group. Uh, basically, uh, they say with narcissists, they create a thing called flying monkeys, when you've upset them or whatever. And I had these flying monkeys coming at me in the form of my friends, giving me a hard time about not being there that Saturday. He gave me a really hard time about not being there. Basically, just spouting that I need to be there. There's no excuse. And I told him, I said, I got to pay my rent. You know, I've got my rent was due like that Monday or something, if I remember correctly, and I needed to pay it. and I didn't want to face eviction. And his words to me, and I kind of get it, from a place of from faith, but I wasn't like that. All I saw was that I had a bill to pay. He just says, you should have trusted God. You should have just trusted God. Dude, don't want people to pay my rent for me. I'll pay my own rent. I missed one day, but I really started to see his true colors. It was that event right there where I guess it was my separation from the church and being off on my own for a full year, where that event showed me something of a side of art that I'd never really seen before, or I had seen and refused to accept it. But I saw it very clearly. I was like, holy smokes, this guy's so manipulative. I ended up, I was shaken by that, and I was already not doing very well. My I mentioned at the beginning of this that I was, I was still messed up, but I was in a church and I had structure and I was doing really well and all that stuff. But I still had my pain. Still had a lot of things that I should have been in therapy and counseling for. Um, this became painfully obvious when I walked away from the harvest. I fell so hard immediately into drugs and alcohol, and Art viewed it as rebellion. He couldn't have been further from the truth, couldn't have been further from the mark. And to be told that you're being rebellious when you're just in pain is, like anybody who really knows me knows my past, and it's not a fun one. My brother and I it's not a cakewalk. We went through hell, and it left its mark on both of us. And I felt like maybe that I didn't really know Art all that well anymore. That it was like suddenly he hated me, didn't like me, whatever it was. I went back to the church one more time, and I sat through maybe half of the service, and everything just started feeling fake again. It started feeling like it was fake, Todd Bentley fake. Like I suddenly was seeing past a veil. I don't know what it was. And it was sad because I fell pretty hard. I fell really nasty. Like I did a lot of drugs over the course of a few years. Um, Damn near killed myself a few times. I just went completely right over the edge. There was one person. Actually, I'll tell the first bit of Art. Um, he stopped by with the entire youth group one night, and I thought that they were just there to come and say hi and maybe minister and possibly try to pull me back. And the funny thing is, too, is if that's what they were doing, if that's what they were actually there for, if somebody had reached out truly and just tried to pull me back, I probably would have gone back. I wasn't completely lost at that point. I was just hurting, really confused and didn't know what was going on. Uh, but I found out partway through, Art told me that he says, actually, the real reason that I'm here is to take your furniture. It's furniture that he lent me. And he brought the youth group there to help him pull the furniture out. That was the nail in the coffin for me. That one did it. That was my why you're supposed to be my father figure. You're supposed to be my spiritual dad, and all he saw me was like a rebellious youth backslider. Is the word that they used. I was found out later on in life that I have a thing called borderline personality disorder. It's caused by loss, rejection, which was I had a lot of that growing up, but it's psychological personality disorder, really. The rejection from Art didn't help. It's something that hit me really hard because of that condition. Something that I was completely unaware of. I didn't even know I had it, but it makes perfect sense now when I look back. That hurt me very badly. I struggled with hatred for him, but I also struggled with loyalty too. Struggled being still oddly loyal in my heart toward him, even after all of that. I think that's just my own thing. I don't really know why I'm like that. Um, After all of that, and I had gone really downhill, like very badly downhill. I still regret those days deeply. There was a single person from that church who really came out of their way, picked me up one night. Her name was Danielle, and I still love and respect her for this. She was the only one that saw that I wasn't in rebellion, that I was just hurting, that it was pain that I was experiencing from my past, from the rejection of art, all of that. She truly saw me. I think really, perhaps I'm not remembering correctly, but I think the only other people that ever reached out to me during this time, a few years, was Salem and Brittany. They stopped by. They reached out, and I don't remember much of the experience, but I do remember them coming out and seeing me. It was I I've had people message me and apologize and say that they wish they reached out, but it's funny. It's like I don't look at them and say I don't blame them, not one little bit. Uh, there's no dirt, no shade, none whatsoever. I love all of them still to this day. They're still my family. They're still my friends. I'm so glad to have reconnected with so many of them, even though it's under crappy circumstances. I'm really, really, really happy that I have some of my old friends back,
That is
and to be
maybe
able
a,
to be there
yeah,
for them and stand up for them.
yeah, bit of a shining light at the end. But I think that, when they showed up, when that group showed up to your house, I think what you're saying is there was just this part of you that was like, wow, like they're here, they care. Who knows? Do they want to drag me to church, or do they want
Yeah,
to, love on me a little bit? There was that moment, and then the switch to Art saying, "I'm here to get your furniture," and he wanted to take the furniture away.
he didn't end up taking it, but yes,
Yeah.
that was I was I was standing out there on the step with a big smile on my face until that happened, until he told me the real reason they stopped by there. I
Hmm.
think at some point he said he realized that it was the wrong thing to do, but it's like, dude, you came here for one of the most brutal reasons. Um,
And
I
that
don't know, to
really
teach
broke
me
you up.
lessons.
Like that
It,
was, that really gutted you.
it did, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's funny, it's like through all of this, I didn't realize how deeply affected I was because I'd moved on and got kids and got a good career and the loves of my life. My babies are everything to me.
Mm.
I thought I had moved on, but when all this stuff sort of came back, I'm like, I realized how messed up I was. And Kim was telling me the other night, she's like, "Well, you mentioned it a lot. There were many times that you mentioned this thing with art. So I guess it's something that plagued me more than I realized, sort of held under the surface." Um, so yeah, my heart is for the survivors. Uh, just want to be there for them. My healing, I guess I wasn't going into it for my own healing. I was doing it just to hopefully give a voice to others to come forward, um, and maybe offer my support too if I can. I got my own things, but would still love to be able to help.
Yeah. Well, so I just want to say that you're amazing, and
Thank you,
I just love who you are.
thank
And
you,
I pray that healing will just continue to come to your life. And I, I'm so grateful for the role that you are playing, and being very strong in the midst of this. And you're a very nice man, Joe.
thank
Very
you. I
nice
really
man.
appreciate
God made you a very special person. And
that. Thank
he
you.
really did. And you kind of have been entrusted with a bit of a story, and you tell it so well. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't even start swearing or nothing here today. You just, you've just been so like class A1 with sharing some of the deep pain that's happened.
Oh man,
And
swear like a trucker too, so that was me controlling.
Well, I have never really heard you swear, but I just had a feeling maybe that you might,
I got
but
a sailor's accent.
right, right. But it's okay because our Father has very big shoulders in heaven, and no matter what, He saw you. And I'm praying that there's a bit of a miracle happening, that people that whose stories were very painful for God. Can you imagine how he felt, like as your dad, how he felt? It was horrendous. He was there, he saw. And I pray for vindication for you. And you're a nice man, and I pray that good things come into your life. I thank you for doing what you're doing. You have a big heart for the survivors. You have empathy and kindness. And a lot of people who've been through things like you've been through sometimes get such a coldness about them, but you have somehow survived it all. And you're alive and here to talk about it, and to maybe be an influence in some things up ahead for everybody. So I like you, Joe. I'm sorry about it. It still guts me. I'm a little like shaken about all of it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry. Everything
Yeah,
happens for a reason.
yeah, it does. Yeah.
I am who I am now because of everything that's happened. So I and there was a time there where I was growing very calloused and cold. I've gone through my phases, midlife crisis, existential crisis, all this stuff. Life has a way of callousing one's heart. But oddly enough, the this whole survivors page thing and everything coming to light has sort of brought me back to my heart, among other things. But it's been a
Yeah.
kind of a return to self, actually. Gave me a little bit of life back that I felt like I had lost, actually.
Wow. So it's never too late, is it? For all the ones
No,
that are hurting and broken, it's
no,
never too late.
no.
Something good is coming out of all of this. And
I
that
agree.
something good has to do a lot with you, Joe. So thank you. Well, have a
All
wonderful
of us.
evening. And thank you for sharing all of your stories with us. And everyone will be watching and seeing how you carry forward. I think we'll be hearing from more people. And maybe one day we could do just a big, group somewhere and just get some healing from all of this. So thank
That
you.
would be wonderful.
I appreciate you, Joe. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. You too. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.
Wow. Yeah. Almost don't want to let Joe go, almost just want to keep talking to him. Very nice man. But look at his life. He has kids and someone special, and he's moving on, and God is with him. And I pray that something would get real, and all of the stuff that wasn't right, all of the things that religion sometimes holds that are not even of God, I pray that would be broken off. So I'm going to be in Dallas. I'm pretty excited about that. I kind of need a bit of a vacation. So I'm going to go with my buddies, and that is Pastor Ray Curry, Ohio for Freedom, Pastor Rock, my dear lady gals down there, Lynn and Vanessa and Elizabeth. And of course, Valerie is going to be there to share about her stories with Joni. And Jeanette Hawkins, not the blackmailer. Accused of being a blackmailer, but she is not the blackmailer. And she's going to share with us, and it is going to be excellent. And then the lovely Morgan and Pastor John T. in the back there, and a really cool guy named, I think it's Dr. Yarborough. He's going to be there. Get your tickets. You go to Laura-Lynn.tv, and right on the front page, you can either get a ticket to come, or you can get the live stream that is going to show all of it. It's going to be so exciting. And I can't wait to see you all there. Get the live stream lots of people are going to be able to catch the fun with Pastor Ray Curry's, renditions of how things are, and maybe we'll have some surprises. And I think James White is coming actually, and he's going to share just a little bit. Maybe some other podcasters are going to show up and surprise us. I always think about, Spirit with Nadia. Oh my gosh, her and her husband, they just, I like listening to them. Oh, it cracks me up. But it's like we've witnessed this live modern day tale of epic biblical proportions. And look, it's gotten super dark out. It's still a bit light out there, JT, on the side camera maybe, but yeah, it's gotten dark. Yeah, me and Joe shut down the house tonight. And but these tales tell of all kinds of things. They talk about sin of sexual immorality and greed, lies. But there's redemption. And I loved how Joe kind of wrapped up on this thing that maybe we all find a little piece of redemption somewhere in this journey, and I pray that we do. I think Joe is redemption, and I pray for him. Something great happens. Something that his life just pans out right. Would you all pray that for Joe? That'd make me feel good, because one thing I have learned is that prayers work. So I'm not going to do any of the normal stuff. Can I just share my favorite psalm with you tonight? Let me see if I can get it ready here. Psalms 91. Sometimes if I ever feel like I'm a bit overwhelmed, I love Psalms 91. It talks about where God hides you, even in a storm, under the shadow of his wing. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. I was thinking about how really distressing things like what Joe has been through, and I've been through some distressing things, and I bet you have as well. There's painful things that we all go through, and yet the Lord's promise is that he covers us with his feathers. He shields us in a moment where something really bad was happening. God was there, and you might not have been able to feel it in the moment, but he saw, his eagle eyes saw us. And he covered us, and he was our shield and our rampart, so that maybe some of the pain wasn't taken in so heavily, so that maybe one day we could recover from it all. Verse 5 says, you will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness. You know what? I'm just going to take a little pen here and underline this, because I know my daughter's one day going to read this. Nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand. But it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes to see the punishment of the wicked. I pray for that, don't you? That God's justice his mercy is great, and that also in his day and in his season there is the punishment of the wicked. That's called justice. If you say, the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you. No disaster will come near your tent. Does it mean we don't go through terrible things? No, it does not. But the Lord rescues us from so many things that could have been the end of us. In fact, Joe tonight, he said he could have been dead. He went into a period of just spiraling in his addiction. But God did not allow that to happen. He's here. We're here. You're here. You've been through some pain. Many of us are feeling that. I know my puppy's feeling pain right now for me being on this podcast for so long. But a lot of us have had deep and true wounding, and God is acknowledging the one in this season. He's acknowledging that his feathers have covered us, that we have been hidden under the shadow of the Almighty, and that he indeed has never left us. Though man forsake us, though circumstances try to destroy us, no matter what, God has never left us. And you watching this with your tears, with your pain, he will never leave you or forsake you. Though we be rejected by man and family and those that supposedly love us, God will never reject us. And he's always, always only one prayer away. God bless you. Have a great night. You know, it's not easy to deliver the truth of what our sick world is doing, but for some of us, we feel that we have no choice. Because if we are silent about these abominable things, then we are letting evil go unchecked, and we cannot do that. For those of you wonderful people who are writing me and are sharing your encouragement, I am deeply grateful. Thank you for all the letters that you've been sending. Thank you for the donations and the support. I found out that in order to speak the truth, you have to become very, very strong. If you would go to my website at www.laura-lynn.tv, you'll find all of the ways that you can contact me. Remember, my friends, all is well. All is well. Thanks for joining me.